This is Dateline News and Conversation. My guest tonight, returning, my dear friend, Dr. Vladimir Kozin. The topics tonight, they're really important here in Russia. The bird flu that originated from the United States biolabs in Ukraine. We will talk about the two counteroffensive by the Ukrainian forces, one yesterday, Sunday, and another just this morning. And then Vladimir's comments on Prigozhin's statement yesterday, I believe, that he was going to send Wagner, his own private military army, to Belgorod to defend the people there from these Ukrainian and Nazi interventions into that region that just don't stop. So, Vladimir, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Regis, and I would like to welcome all viewers of Mr. Regis' programs.
Well, thank you. Let's start, first of all, with the bird flu. You wrote a very extensive report, one of your many, many daily reports on things that are happening in terms of the war in Ukraine, the biological labs. And that's what I want to ask you, first of all. What can you share factually about Russia knows about the origin of the bird flu from the United States biolabs in Ukraine?
Mhm. Well, thank you very much for your question. The situation is very serious because, look, during last May, exactly on 17th of May this year, special quarantine measures have been enforced in Moscow against avian flu spread by birds. And we have already destroyed, actually killed, I'm sorry for that, 10 million poultry in my country, in the Russian Federation, especially in two regions. One is very close to Moscow. It's called Yaroslavl. Probably many viewers have knowledge about that city and the region. And the second one is located in near Kirov, Kiev region, very close to the Ural Mountains. So the situation is very serious, and I actually wrote in my report 247 at the end of May. And since last May, there was no extra information concerning this very dangerous disease. Look, we spent more than 4 billion rubles to combat this highly virulent disease that kills and infects poultry, chickens, etc. And European also suffered. According to International Office of Epizootics, European countries, a number of European countries, have already spent 3 billion euros to combat such diseases that spread from Ukrainian controlled territory where experiments have been conducted. Why this experiments have been conducted in Ukraine but not in the northern pole? For very obvious reasons. American military scientists involving military experts in Ukraine and civilian experts in Ukraine, they analyzed the major seasonal routes of various kinds of wild birds because they migrate seasonally in winter, in spring, in summer, in autumn, etc., etc. And only several types of birds have been selected that used to fly towards Russia in the eastern direction and in the eastern south direction to the Russian Federation to infect, to poison the the I mean friends, other birds and other poultry in my country. This is considered as criminal act. Criminal act. It's a war criminal act, and the United States of America and Ukraine should be responsible for that and pay back a lot of money for a number of European countries who suffered and the Russian Federation naturally as well. That's the story about the bird flu that we have found a lot of evidence in a written form, in a special samples, not destroyed by Ukrainian military and civilian experts at joint bilateral military laboratories run by American and Ukrainian people. So it's one of the gravest danger. I mean, when Washington and Kiev were engaged in spreading such a very dangerous disease across the European continent. Besides, chemical weapons were used by Ukrainians, by Ukrainian military personnel against the Russian troops. White phosphorus, for example, a special munition suspended on various kinds of drones from the sky and on the ground. As to other developments, yes, recently, in the last several days, Ukrainian armed forces wanted to first capture some territory located in the Russian Federation on the historic lands of the Russian Federation, not liberated during the special military operation. In the Belgorod region, just bordering Ukrainian territory from Russian eastern part, and from the area they attacked this area. Ukrainians from the territories fully controlled by Ukrainian armed forces, not by Donbass or other southern regions of Ukraine. So they failed to do it, have been destroyed in two major cases recently when nearly 70 Ukrainian servicemen have been destroyed, killed, etc. And a number of military hardware have been also obliterated completely. But unfortunately, on the other side of this coin of the Ukrainian aggression against bona fide Russian territories, historic lands, as I said, fully controlled by the Russian side, they used heavy artillery fire and multi multi-launch rocket system against purely civilian cities and villages. And yesterday and today, they used more than 500 and 600 of different shells, artillery shells, and multiple launch rocket systems, rockets. And several civilians have been killed, many injured, and we had to evacuate more than 600 small kids to deep into Russian territory to save their lives, as well as several thousands of elderly people from the area. Polish military men, especially sent to conquer the Belgorod region, have been also killed in many dozens of them, despite Polish denial that they have involved into this invasion. But we have proved facts and the documents, military attire, insignia, etc., etc. So it was not very difficult to prove that Polish directly invaded and sanctioned this invasion of Polish troops into Russian territory. Another developments, well, as to your the other question concerning Mr. Yevgeny Prigozhin to send his private military company to defend the citizens in Belgorod region. Well, it's up to the highest military command and Mr. Prigozhin himself to arrive at a proper decision what to do. But currently, well, actually, our several types of forces, regular army in the Belgorod region, then border guards, then territorial defense people armed by small arms like assault rifles, Kalashnikov 47, and other options. So managed to kill and to drive back, to kick back all these forces of invasion. But recently, yesterday, there was attempt to start Ukrainian not counter-offensive, as they have been advertising for several months from last January. But Russian military establishment, Minister of Defense, used a little bit different term. I put it in English. It was a large-scale offensive on the 4th of June against Russian troops concentrated in Donbass area. Several battalions, infantry battalions, and heavy armor battalions were used from Ukrainian side. What are the results? They have not succeeded. The Ukrainian army has not succeeded at all. Losses. Ukrainian armed forces have lost 300 servicemen, 16 Ukrainian tanks of different types, 26 armored fighting vehicles, and 14 motor vehicles. So no chances to survive. That was a major setback. Probably they will try it again. We are waiting with a great enthusiasm because the more people or military hardware Ukrainian armed forces would move against our contingents in Donbass or in any other new territories. So we will repulse them and drive them back and destroy everything because Ukrainians, they do not have air forces superiority in the sky above Ukraine. They do not have completely naval support from the northern part, for example, of the Black Sea, because the last Ukrainian ship, combat ship, has been destroyed completely by the Russian Black Sea Fleet. There are no Ukrainian combat vessels in the Azov Sea. A long time ago, it was fully cleaned. So the situation is moving. We are not in the hurry. We are destroying huge military storage sites. I mean, packed with ammunition of various types and heavy weapons. Recently, three huge ammunition depots have been exploded, and the explosion was so high up in the sky, as if it was a nuclear explosion, a nuclear bomb. But no, it was a conventional weapons explosion. And I mean, I have seen two pictures before our attack and after that. So after that, it was empty ground, empty territory. Nothing was left, I mean, undamaged. We naturally used very powerful kinjal, or in English, dagger, um, hypersonic weapons with a pinpoint accuracy and loaded with heavy, powerful, conventional explosives. So many big military airfields in Ukraine have been also demolished and destroyed, especially landing strips and support buildings, support facilities by the Russian air forces. We recently used heavy strategic bombers. Probably you remember our previous conversations, Regis, when I said that a number of Russian experts, well, hinted, don't be afraid, try to use strategic heavy bombers, but equipped with conventional bombs and missiles, not with nukes. No, no, we are not going to do that. And they did. We used two types of fast moving missiles with a heavy warhead, uh, such missiles that can travel up to 5,000 kilometers, so it can cross any Ukrainian direction. 5,000 kilometers, it's a huge territory. And there is a very good asset that our strategic heavy bombers were not flying in the sky or over Ukraine. They stayed in the air or in the Russian airspace without just being killed, being destroyed and hit by Ukrainian anti-aircraft defense, which is very poor. We have destroyed several batteries of Patriot missile sent early in April to Ukraine by the United States, and something like 50 more Patriot missile anti-aircraft defense system that President Zelensky is begging from Washington will be naturally destroyed by our air forces or naval-based missiles that can do this job, because they are very easy to be destroyed because they are in the open air. They cannot move very quickly from their originally assumed positions. They have a number of support cars and sections. It's also just an asset for us. So to wind up my story, I would say that we are ready to do both: to destroy war-fighting machine of Ukrainian army, of the Ukrainian state, and to sign the treaty on complete capitulation, on complete surrender of the Ukrainian regime. And we're also ready to start negotiations about the total surrender of the Ukrainian regime. And I believe that we should also make a hint to NATO chieftains. So take your leader Vladimir Zelensky into your just capitals or into your health resort houses, because he is irrelevant. You in NATO don't believe in what Vladimir Zelensky will be able to do on the battlefield. He is a beggar. He is an irrelevant leader in Ukraine, mistakenly elected by Ukrainian populations, duped by his false promises and fairy tales about peace and tranquility in Ukraine. Because the longer he is staying in power, sitting at his throne, the longer will be losses and casualties and sufferings of Ukrainian people and the Russian Federation as well, because we are losing civilians, we are losing military men, but we have to resist to a full-fledged combined Ukrainian NATO military aggression against the Russian Federation. That's it. I have to stop here. Thank you very much, Regis.
Okay, Vladimir, may I ask you a few questions?
Please go ahead.
First of all, and I'm going backwards here, and I'll start with what you were finished talking about is the armed conflict going on between NATO, United States, and Russian military using
Mhm.
Ukraine as a battlefield.
Yeah,
I always have to stress that. But for a long time, Zelensky appeared to be the symbol of resistance in Ukraine. And that's how he was portrayed, basically, in the rest of the world, the West and the United States.
mhm.
But the United States, as we both know, does not care about Zelensky. Maybe they will
No.
give him safe harbor, but
Mhm.
the United States has said repeatedly that we will continue to support Ukraine until the last Ukrainian. I have been reading reports that Ukraine has gone out into the streets, in the cities and the villages, and uh, enlisting uh, young men and old men to go to the front with little or no preparation.
Right.
Now, sooner or later, Vladimir, the people have to turn on him. They have to realize that he is sacrificing millions and not just dead, but many of these people have fled. They're
Mhm.
refugees. They've gone to Europe, they've gone to Russia, they've gone to other countries, Poland.
Right. Right.
he's basically destroyed the country,
The country, right?
and sooner or later the people have to recognize him. But my question is this:
Hmm.
um, do you think that the United States will fight to the last Ukrainian, or will they be forced to accept the Ukrainian surrender and therefore the surrender of NATO and the United States? Do you think they will ever be ready to do that, Vladimir?
Hmm. Clear, Regis. Well, thank you very much. Well, as it stands for today, when we are talking, and it will be valid, also valid for tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. Right, you are. The American leaders and NATO leaders will fight for the last Ukrainian with the Russian Federation. But they have made and will make a very deadly mistake. It is impossible to win the Russian Federation when our people are attacked, when our people are killed. We will not surrender. There is no any case in the history of the Russian Federation that we, or in the Soviet Union, that we lost military warfare, military war. We will win. But if the United States of America and the rest in the NATO community will understand that it is impossible to continue this combined aggression against us. But it will be too late. There is no financial system in Ukraine. Who will pay uh, for Ukrainian after this aggression? Not the Russian Federation. No, we have our own tasks and our own, let's see, priorities. You, Americans and NATO countries and European community, you will restore Ukraine and demand from any other leader of Ukraine to return the money Zelensky borrowed and his other predecessors borrowed from the Western countries. Second, who will restore houses destroyed, burned, uh, demolished in Ukraine after aggression is over? You, Americans, Europeans, NATO countries, you have to do it because you initiated this bloodbath voluntarily, unprovokedly. You started. Who will pay back for military uh, techniques, military hardware, military systems, deadly weapons you donated to Ukrainian regime, uh, and we have destroyed many of them. Just I've got fresh figures. Look, we destroyed nearly 500 military airplanes, aircraft, exactly 493 from the beginning of the special military operation. We also destroyed 236 helicopters, military helicopters. We also destroyed 9,431 tanks and armored fighting vehicles combined together. We also eliminated 5,009 field artillery pieces and mortars and 1,114 multiple launch rocket systems. It's tremendous amount of money is the price for all this. You Westerners, the leaders, not rank and file people, but the leaders of NATO member countries, You are responsible for this kind aggression you unleashed 9 years ago uh, with the hands of Ukraine against the people who simply didn't want to live under the roof of the Ukrainian ultra nationalist banderist regime. So trade and commerce relationship in Europe and between Russia and the United States have suffered. Energy supplies have been blocked, not by us, but NATO member countries. In whose favor? In the favor of warmongers, in favor of war criminals. Who will be responsible for this kind of thing? You, NATO member states. You, Mr. Joseph Biden, and your staffers. Who will pay for the restoration of our own buildings destroyed in the Russian territory and in Donbass and in Kherson and Zaporozhye? Also you, not us. Because simply we defended our land, we defended Russians, we defended our culture, we defended our religion, we defended our languages, we defended our cultural ties and family ties. You have not. You try to destroy it and you will be punished and you will be destroyed. Remember this kind of thing for good, forever, eternally. Regis?
Well, um, I think China might be very interested in coming in to help rebuild Ukraine because they have a lot
No.
invested with their one bridge, one road. You don't think so?
No, no. What for? To help aggressor who
No,
killed
no.
who killed a lot of people in the Russian Federation, the strongest ally of the People's Republic of China. Never forget about this, Regis. The Westerners will do that. Never.
Well, I hope there are. I hope there are uh, Nuremberg trials in maybe in Kiev when this thing is over. But I do think that China has a monetary business investment in Ukraine. They want the war to stop, not just because people are being killed, because it's part of their business plan to build a new Silk Road, which has to go through Ukraine.
It is impossible to build the Silk Road or just across Ukraine. True, Beijing, the People's Republic of China, paid a lot of money for a motor company of engines production plant called Siege, producing various types of engines for helicopters and for aircraft. And Kiev has stolen this enterprise from Chinese hands voluntarily, and the People's Republic of China will demand to pay back the money they paid for the Siege Motor Company to the People's Republic of China, to the Chinese people and the Chinese nation. And we will support this kind of thing, but they will not restore everything on the territory of a clear-cut aggressor. It's impossible. Nobody will restore. The defenders against aggressor never pay back for the restoration of aggressor.
Well,
The winners take all.
I would like to see that happen. I really would. And I think it's just, it's right, it's legal. I think it's going to be difficult to get the United States of America in particular to pay back anything, but I hope that can happen. I want to,
Regis,
I want to,
Regis, it's not our problem. It's not our business what Americans will do or what they will not do. But it is Americans who will do that, Europeans, European Union, NATO countries altogether, 27 from European Union, uh, 20, 29, because I omit Hungary and another, some other NATO nations to pay back money, but all the rest have to do it. So ask Vladimir Zelensky to share his wealth in his pockets, in his sacks. Yes, to share for rehabilitation, for the restoration of Ukrainian society and Ukrainian economy. We will not do that. Forget about this. And all other people, forget about this. We have our own priorities and our own tasks.
well, I hope you are right, Vladimir. I really do. I hope you are. Rewind here a little bit because there's some other questions that I have to ask you. In talking about the avian bird flu, um, did you say how many people in Russia have been infected with the flu? I'm not sure I understood that. You used the number 247. What were you referring to?
Say it again, 247.
I think
Ah,
I think you said
247. It's my report I sent to I prepared and sent to
oh
my friends and colleagues.
number 2047 report.
Yes,
Okay, but I'd like to know, do you know how many people in Russia gets bird
nothing,
flu?
nothing, because just our just medical facilities and various institutes involved in combating this kind of avian flu prevented to poison human beings, and all foodstuffs and chicken and turkey and some other poultry animals uh, uh, sold in the marketplaces or in the big food stores are examined very carefully. You cannot get this kind of avian flu from chicken you buy at the supermarket. It's impossible.
Yeah,
Every see, as I said earlier, we destroyed 10 million poultry
yeah,
pieces. Yes, as the result of it's this kind of disease, but there are no figures concerning infection amongst human beings. I haven't got any figures, and
yeah,
if there were some cases, well, the government would have informed all of us about this, but I haven't heard any infection. You see,
yeah.
only just chickens.
So I want people to understand this. Almost immediately after the special military operation began, Russia captured several of some 30 or 40 biolabs. Is that correct?
About 40, yes, about 40, 40 biolabs, but not all of them. We have found out that there were about 40 jointly run biolabs just run by Americans and Ukrainians. But we have not captured all of them because plenty of them are still available in the center of Ukraine, controlled by Ukrainians, and in the western part of Ukrainian territory. So they're still working probably, but they are not within our reach.
It's about 40 minutes, so I'll edit this. What I wanted to say was that Russia, emphasize what you said, has obtained many documents and other materials, experiments, so they have proof.
Mhm.
Did
Yes,
not Russia bring some of this to the United Nations? But nothing happened.
but what do you expect from the United States of America?
Yeah.
To beg, um, to ask for excuse, or just uh, to bring apologies to us and to other people? It's natural. We have conducted, I think, from the beginning of the special military operation, 6 or 7 briefings exclusively devoted to biolabs of the US and Ukraine in Ukraine on Ukrainian territory. And we supplied with PowerPoint slides. I mean, having photographed all documents, gave the names of the people responsible for arranging these biolabs and for financing. We just delivered to the outside world a lot of specified and proved information, but no results. But it doesn't matter. We have already disseminated this information, and this is correct information. Any person who can read in English will see the photos, the pictures of original documents, American, Ukrainian documents, contracts, money charts in English. So it's not a problem. They have been
But,
displayed at the internet and at the website of the Russian Defense Ministry.
yeah, what I was trying to emphasize was that Russia has the proof. They have the documentations in their hands. And this
Right.
is important because at some point when this is over, that information will not only be shared with the entire world, but will be used in these war crimes tribunals, correct?
Correct, correct,
Yeah.
correct, correct. But we are now busy uh, with combined Ukrainian NATO aggression against us. That is the task number one. But the time will come, and we will just submit all proofs and all documentation to prove that Americans and Ukrainians have been engaged in a very dangerous and evil acts against humanity.
Yeah. And together with all the information they have about the Azov battalion, uh, I mean, they have proof of all of that. They've captured these people, many of them. We don't hear much about it now.
Yes, we just captured, especially in Mariupol, when Mariupol was under the siege and was circulated by Donbass and Russian servicemen, troops. But due to exchange of prisoners of war, we just released a number of Azov fighters. But I think, well, it was not very good gesture from the Russian side because
Yeah.
neo-Nazis should sit in prison till the end of their lives, because their hands are stained with the blood of other people. We should not exchange them. We should exchange minor soldiers who just recently was drafted and actually probably killed nobody on our side. But neo-Nazism, because we proclaimed two major goals while conducting a special military operation: demilitarization and denazification. Because if we release neo-Nazi again and send them back to Ukraine, they will continue attacking us and proliferate neo-Nazi ideology everywhere.
Well, Vladimir, I want to thank you very much for your analysis. You're always right on target. It's very much appreciated. We'll look forward to having you back again to keep us up to date on what is happening from the Russian point of view. So thank you, Vladimir.
My pleasure, Regis. Take care. Kind regards to you and your friends and family.